Okie dokie. We are back. 11:05, right on time. Welcome in, everybody. Uh-oh. It's never simple, is it? Aggie seemed to be working for me today, and now it's not, so that's cool. That's cool. Okay. We'll let everybody hang out. Slowly work their way in. Make sure my audio is working. Looks fine. Good, good, good. All right. It's Friday. Here's the viewer suggestion. Douglas, welcome in. How are you today? There we go. Okay. Should be a pretty chill day today. It is Friday. I still have a pretty big list from Wednesday, so we'll see if we can get through some of those. Yeah. Had some good YouTube shorts this week. Did not finish the video I wanted to make, which is kind of a bummer, but not unexpected. It's a lot of work to do there. Druid, welcome in.
Hi. Excuse me.
There you go.
Yep. I got a bit of a cold today, so that's
Yeah.
probably how it's going to be every time I try to talk.
It's cold today. Like, it's cold and wet, which is weird because it had been pretty warm recently. So I'm also kind of phlegmy. I hope I don't have a cold.
I am for sure sick. And it's also kind of very funny because, like, when I woke up this morning, everything kind of ached, which made me think that I had actually done a much harder workout Wednesday than I thought I had. So, like, ooh, nice and so. Oh, no.
No, I'm just in pain.
Yep.
Funny.
If I cut off currently, it's probably because I am unplugging my mic so I don't trigger anybody by coughing into it.
Gotcha. Let me get to my Twitch stream here so we can see stuff. There we go. Oh, my spine. I hope everybody's having a good day so far. Music feels a little loud to me today. We'll see how that goes. I wonder how many people try to check out the stream, see rugby, and just like nope out.
It can't be that many. Seriously, like, I know he's weird and does not feel D&D, but at the same time, he's for sure a complete character. So
It's just taken 4 years to make. I have had to mute Twitch so that YouTube doesn't flag me anymore. So whether or not I just turn off the soundboard, I don't know yet. Probably should just turn it off. But the people on Twitch, actually the people on Twitch still won't hear it either, so yeah. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to turn it off.
Too bad.
Oh, well. It's too bad.
Such is the nature of things.
Yeah.
We must abide by the rules of our copyright overlords.
Ooh, the last video in the on the Twitch channel was the Devil's video. That's a little dated. Let's update that.
It was a while ago.
Derg Furk. That's not a great way to say that. Technically correct. Okay.
Do you have a new link to the Magma Studio to me, or is it the same?
Oh, did I not? Nope. I might have just not sent it to you. Hold on a second.
That's okay. It's taken me literally this long to get my setup going. I have a feeling I probably only have 1 or 2 good drawings in me today.
That's fine. I see Magma Studio has added an extra click for me to share the link. That's nice of them. Dude, okay, I guess dental pain. Is a problem though, and it's difficult to find a dentist appointment that will take Medicaid. So I'm just dumping hoop after hoop after hoop. That's too bad. Yeah, there's a place here in near Seattle that it's like a clinic. So that's kind of like the only place for a lot of people to go. But I hear it's good. Actually, I've also heard that it's horrible, so... No good.
In my experience, all clinics are usually both.
Yeah.
This second rugby looks like he's, I don't know, eaten something that does not quite agree with him.
It's full of bees.
Don't eat bees.
Don't eat bees. What if I really broke the lore and just like gave Rugby a tail?
I mean, I'm down with that.
Slowly mutating.
Maybe that's not really Rugby though. Maybe it's an imp who picked up the rug. What is your thoughts on the Blood Mage Wizard subclass from the Tal'Dorei subclass classes, Brooke?
Blood Mage Wizards.
I haven't looked at those.
Yeah, I haven't seen... I read about it once. Let me do a quick look at it. I like the idea of Blood Mages. I really do. Like, the concept of like Constitution casting or having to use your hit points as a reagent. I like, and if I remember right, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So let me look.
I have
blood magic. These blood was generally
yeah.
Hemocraft. Yeah, these guys use blood for their spells, right? Instead of
I think so.
using their own blood and life force to empower their spells. Okay. Well, let's check it out. Second level, they use their own body as an arcane focus. I'm injured in some way. They have to be injured in some way. Okay, so it's going back to like the you have to cut yourself thing. They take necrotic damage in order to forego costly material components. Okay, so you're basically replacing your material components for blood. 1d8 per 50 gold of the cost. That's pretty cool. I like that. So that means you could... 50 gold's a lot, though. That's actually... You can do a lot with a d10 of damage, apparently. I guess if you're a wizard, though, you don't have that many hit points.
Yeah, that's true.
6th level, the Blood Wizard can use their reactions to bind their vitality with their enemies. Both take the same damage. Oh, that's fun. Gift of Hemorrhage. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. The art for it's really cool, too. Yeah, I really like the concept. And I think there's a lot of different things you can do with it. I really wish the Blood Rager went more that direction than what it currently does. But the Blood Rager is still a lot of fun. So I'd give it a go, 100%. I'd probably go fighter wizard though.
Yeah. Is there a Blood Rager for 5e?
No, you have to multi-class. But like fighter is so front loaded.
Yeah.
That you can really dip a few levels in it and be an effective fighter if your stats are correct. So
I have mad respect for Mercer. And I like the stuff that like the homebrew stuff that he puts out. It feels pretty balanced to me. He's never making the choices like the choices I would make if I were doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think for me, like I'm on the same page. Like I feel like Mercer and I came from the same Pathfinder love background, which I think you did too. And so like a lot of the decisions he makes, like with the Blood Hunter and the and this, definitely feels like it's coming from a place of where Pathfinder was, trying to address some of the issues that I've had with Pathfinder in the past, but it always feels a little too cautious. I feel like that's really what Mercer kind of the Blood Hunter and it feels a little too cautious, and it could be because they're designed more towards 5e. Like he tried to follow in the footsteps of 5e and make it very apparent with that. Because if I was making it for Pathfinder, I would probably make it a little different. You can't really get the I don't want to say nuance, but like the fidelity you could get if you're doing the 3.5 system. I personally really like the concept of the Blood Mage Wizard, who keeps track of their spells by using tattoos with ink made of their own blood. Can you tattoo yourself with your own blood? I think your body would just eat it. It's a really gritty concept. I love it. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, me neither.
Tattoos are interesting because, like, you have all your layers of skin, and what you do is you put the ink far enough down below where the dermis grows new cells, so it doesn't get pushed out of the body, but then the ink itself has to be big enough that your body can't eat it. It does, however, as your body grows, the ink does diffuse, and that's why they fade a little bit. But the ink itself just is trapped in the cells, which is interesting. I think. I hope someone else can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. But if you put blood in there, I think it would dissolve. It would dissolve into your body, back into your own body. So otherwise, you'd have permanent bruises. Laura, hello. I do like the idea of the spells of the Tattoo Wizard, though. Don't get me wrong, that's really cool. I wonder if maybe you should use like the blood of your enemies, magical dragon blood, or if you like. I guess you could make inks with your blood. That would be okay. If you found like the pigments and then just mixed your blood into it to get it wet.
If you denature it enough, sure. But I mean, at that point, you're basically just using red iron oxide.
Right. I mean, I don't think it would matter that it's your blood, except for like the ritual aspect of it. Like, because I think some tattoos were made with like spit. Like you spit into pigment to make it wet. And it's like, guys, come on. So, but as a ritual of mixing your blood with stuff and then tattooing yourself with it, that's kind of cool. Take it out, put it back in. That's what I was thinking with the blood tattoos. Okay, cool. Yeah. How goes it, Laura? I think I'm ready to start. I think I'm going to start doing the sketches here. For those of you who don't know how this works, I have a huge list of suggestions from last Wednesday's show, as well as Monday's community post. If you have not suggested a character this week, you're very welcome to, but I'm going to roll the dice. The dice will decide what we draw, and that's how we're going to do it. Here we go. 14. There are currently 21 on the list. Kobold Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer who became a Birori? Oh no. I love it when people... I think I know who did this. I think this is a scientific name. But they've put a word that I don't know what it is, and then they've clarified it with a longer, more complicated science name. So I have to look those up. I'm going to look that up. Hold on a second. Beroe Ctnophore. Cenophore? It's a jellyfish. Okay. I should have read it out loud. As soon as I said it out loud, I was like, wait, I think it's a jellyfish. A were jellyfish, huh? A kobold were jellyfish. I don't know how to do that, but we're going to try our best. Here we go. We're going to try our best. Draconic kobold jellyfish. Draconic kobold jellyfish. What if he's just like... What if he thinks he's a were jellyfish and he's really just got a jellyfish on his head?
That's what I was thinking. Like a jellyfish that's just stuck in his horns.
Mm-hmm. I've been cursed.
Scraping stingers down his back. You do not know my pain.
I assume this is a Norwin suggestion. Always coming in with the science names, scientific names. I could be wrong. Someone else could be bringing the biology today. Kobold were jellyfish draconic sorcerer. Interesting, but a little weird. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I always critique the suggestions, but not the idea. It's not the idea that's wrong. It's the suggestion itself. It's just hard for me to follow sometimes. It's okay though. I had to look up the blood sorcerer too, so it's not like it's the only thing that makes me have to look stuff up.
Yeah, and Google is not difficult to use.
Oh no.
Internet.
I think you and I think grew up at a time when the internet wasn't well known.
Yeah.
And so
sure.
The school took a little bit of time, like, this is how search engines work. And it's like, cool, thank you. I know things. And I kind of wonder if they're taking all of that for granted now.
Yeah.
And just like, kids know how to use the internet, and really they don't. It's like, please teach people how to use the internet.
I'm still suffering persistent emotional damage from that Thor video talking about how different age groups interacted with their video game at a con differently.
Your game doesn't have any story because I didn't read it. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I mean, that one just makes me laugh, honestly. I'm talking about they set up their game so people could come and play the demo, and they had a controller and they had a keyboard.
That's right. And they kept touching the screen.
Yeah. And like a certain age group came up, pushed the keyboard aside, and only grabbed the controller because they did not know how to use a keyboard and mouse, or they didn't know how to game with a keyboard and mouse is probably the more accurate thing. And so the next day they had controllers, and then the youngest group came up and pushed all of the controllers away and put their grubby fingers all over the screen.
Yeah, iPads are a thing. Like,
yep.
not just in like, oh, they changed the world, they're great. Like, because they decided to make the design choices they did for it being like fully touch screen and requiring gesture, it's they did a good job of making it very intuitive.
Yeah.
But it's not useful anywhere else, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%. I legit know how somebody. I do not know how somebody could play some of the games that I love to play on a touchscreen.
it was a big problem they had with Final Fantasy VII. Jesus, Windows 7 when Windows 7 came out, because Windows was like, oh, yep, iPads are the thing, so everything needs to be touch enabled, and it's like you can't really access this with a mouse anymore, which is how 90% of people use computers. What are you doing? And like they hit a whole bunch of stuff in like sub menus and like, oh yeah, no, you swipe right. It's like, how do I swipe right? Like, what are you talking about? This is not something anybody has ever used before, in a business setting. And then that broke a lot of people. And they're like, oh, we need to make it so you can still use the mouse and keyboard. It's like, yeah, what are you doing?
Duh. Oh shit, Sherlock. Get your shit together.
So those are now gone.
Yeah.
The fly-in sidebar is now gone from Windows 10 and 11.
Windows breaking shit that they did not need to futz with.
Yep.
Is a consistent problem.
Yeah, it's the same thing they did with
excuse me.
Clip Studio. Clip Studio has the same problem because, or not Clip Studio, I'm sorry, Procreate, because Procreate was designed through the for the iPad, like exclusively for the iPad originally. And so many of its contextual menus are hidden under gesture and like hidden menus that it's really frustrating for people to try to get into. And that's I think kind of intentional on Apple's thing. Like they want you to be kind of locked into their system,
Right.
which I think is, I don't want to say it's evil, but like it's not smart. Like everything, you should try to make everything as
Generally accessible.
yeah.
As
I think it's
standardized.
a best practice, because you want people to sit down and have kind of muscle memory from other things, especially when you're making a game. It's a big thing we talk about. Is like if a game is really intuitive, then someone can sit down and start playing it, and there's no barrier to entry. But if you have to like sit down and like handhold teach someone how a game works, it can be really tough. And that's why it's like it's not usually the first game of a genre that's really popular. It's the second or third one, because then you have a player base of people that have played it, figured it out, explained it to their friends, and now you have more people to explain it. And then with the second and third iteration, people have said, hey, why not do this better from this game? And then that makes it more intuitive for a larger audience. And it's kind of that cyclical iteration that makes things like Among Us and Lethal Company work really well, because they get those minuscule quality of life things that just make the games better. So
By the have you seen anything about the Lethal Company update?
no, is there a new one? I'll have to look at it.
There's a new enemy type, and apparently it's hilarious. I don't want to spoil it because I don't know if you play, but I don't want to spoil anything.
I played it a little bit, but it got old fast for me, for the same reason that like
Fair.
7 Days to Die. Like it's good fun with your friends, but
Yeah.
if my Genasi Genie Warlock doesn't get picked today, I'll change it to a Blood Mage Dampier for next time, so I'm not typing in the same thing over and over again. Sorry, Douglas. This is just how the dice work. But yeah, if you want, you can always copy and paste. Like, there's no reason not to do that.
Yeah.
But if you do want to change it, that's totally fine too.
Man, who was it that their drawing suggestion got rolled like every single time for like a year?
So Dr. Random has an entire party of kobolds.
Yeah.
Because what they would do is they would like kobold sorcerer, and then that got drawn, and then it was like kobold fighter, that got drawn, and so it wasn't every single week, but over the course of a few months, it was 7 or 8 different kobolds, and it was awesome.
We basically ended up with every single subclass of kobold.
Yeah, yep. And then Corvus did get picked like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and so Corvus just
Yeah.
stopped submitting things.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fair. I mean, like, if you feel like you're getting too many, that's fine too. Hi-yo, it's been forever. LG, welcome in. Hope you've been well. I've been doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
Welcome back.
Would a were jellyfish creature just like glop? Just like, because like jellyfish are, because we never had like a were plant. And jellyfish, while they're made out of technically meat, are closer to plants.
Yeah. And also literally cannot survive at all outside of water.
Yeah. So it makes me think that you would basically like just vegetate, turn into a vegetative state. He's a were carrot. I don't even know if these have tentacles, but I feel like I'm going to need tentacles just to sell it.
Yeah.
Kobold looks like a balloon that's about to pop. Yeah, it's a... Yeah. Yep. We're doing all right then. I used to get a lot of kobold commissions, and I haven't gotten any in a while. Maybe I should draw some more kobolds. I turned down some sexy kobolds, and I think that kind of kicked me out of the community that was vying for kobolds all the time. Sorry for the Korok noises. If you're hearing them, if not, then perfect.
I'm getting them a little bit through the Discord, but I expect them at this point.
What if the kobold has a tentacle on a stick to shock people? I've done that. Yep. I think that was part of a commission once. Jellyfish on a stick.
You've done a lot of different creatures on sticks as weapons.
It's a pretty classic way to do it. When in doubt, put a skunk on it.
I think my favorite was Finbar's sea urchin.
That one was pretty good.
Mace, yeah.
Are sea urchins poisonous? Venomous?
Venomous, I think, but not like dangerously so. In the same way that bees are venomous. They don't threaten...
You don't die from the toxin, you die from the anaphylaxis.
Yeah.
If you are allergic to them. Sounds like we're pissed off the scaly community. I don't think I pissed them off. I think I just, I think I teased them too much, and then when I told them I wasn't interested, they were like, oh.
Fine then.
Maybe thick kobold? It's like, maybe not thick kobold. I'm like, no.
Have you considered thick, sexy kobold?
Mm-hmm. Why does this kobold need a bikini?
To keep her snacks in, obviously.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, I think I started drawing sexy, like, not sexy, like really cute kobolds instead of the super ripped and or voluptuous ones, and that also did the same trick.
Yeah.
I have a more wholesome kobold community now instead of a depraved one.
I assume that they're still just as thirsty as the old community, just they hide it better.
Maybe.
That could just be me projecting, though.
The internet is always thirsty, regardless. Like, that's regardless of what I'm drawing, the internet will always be thirsty for it. nothing wrong with that. Oh boy. Because why not, some would say. Yeah, that's it. That is it. I sometimes feel like no pupils is better than weird pupils for making someone look kind of manic. Stung by jellyfish.
I can see that.
The real question is, I could see a jellyfish landing on a kobold and them thinking that they've transformed into a higher state of being. Maybe once. Maybe twice. But after that, where does this jellyfish keep going from? That's the question. How does this keep happening? Unless maybe it's like the party. The party knows the trick. So they just like, we need you to Hulk out. Like, no, I can't. I don't feel it today. And then someone just throws a jellyfish at them. We ain't that thirsty drinking a gallon, yeah. I mean, there's a reason I have the horny bonk on Twitch. It is not a new thing. It's raining jelly. Did you watch the true facts about possums?
No.
It's pretty
Did that
good.
come out recently?
Yeah, I think it came out this morning or a few days ago.
Yeah, I have not yet. The last one that came out was the pigeons, and the sub caption on that really turned me off to the video.
Oh, I don't know if I watched the pigeon one. I'll have to go look at it.
They flirt by vomiting on each
Oh,
other.
yes. Yes, that's a thing.
I was like, I'm gonna skip this one, I think.
As a person who, like, I like birds. Not enough to own or take care of them. But, like, I like birds. Birds are gross. Birds are gross and usually pretty stupid. Yep. The soundboard is not appealing at all. Interesting. Oh, yeah, I turned it off, Atomic, because it got my video demonetized last time. So, so the soundboard is currently gone until I figure that out. Twitch, once again, slowly dying. Slowly dying. Welcome in, by the way.
Slowly dying and trying to take as many of us with it as it can.
Remember to hydrate. I can do that.
Why did I choose to draw a Konrasu? Man. They're fun, but they are also super weird.
Yeah. Is there a furry version of plants? Is that a thing? Because I'll draw sexy Konrasus all day. Like,
I do not know.
nonstop.
Honestly.
Is that kid broken? What's going on? The kobold and whatever the heck the other thing, it looks really cool so far. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks. The other thing is called a Konrasu. It is a 2nd edition Pathfinder creature of chaos in a wooden body.
An extra planar tree construct. Technically, it's an extra planar orb that pilots a tree mech.
Yeah.
If you really want to get technical.
If that's confusing to you, then join the club. They are really cool to play, though. They've got some very interesting...
A bushy, leafy, or thorny. Maybe.
Oof. I don't like any of those terms for people who love plants in the weird way.
What did Aaron? We were watching. I was watching Game Grumps this morning, and like they walked by a statue and they were arguing about it, and then Aaron just said like, "I'd still fuck it," and then walked away. It's just like it's the funniest. I don't know why that's the funniest like straight line to deliver. Like when you're talking about just the like random shit, things that are like people adjacent. It's like, yeah, it's still fuck it. It's like, what's wrong with you? Get help. Sorry, welcome in. Just don't go to a greenhouse. That's a stretch, Elliot, but I'm just not going to read it on YouTube. I think this jellyfish up top doesn't look like a jellyfish. It just looks like a booger.
I mean, to be fair, that is what a lot of jellyfish look like.
I didn't think liking plants in a weird way was possible. I don't think it is. I mean, it probably is, because people like balloons and stuff. I like drawing sexy Konrasus for some reason.
Just goofing.
Yeah. Go watch my... I think really what it is whenever I want to draw, most times when I draw like plants, I try to draw them like dryads. So like I did the Garan video, and I made it look like a monk. I made it a monk, but I made it very feminine. And when I played the Konrasu, I played the big, burly, kind of monstrous sized one. But then when I did the video, I also went with the kind of sexy, feminine form. So fertility cults have always been weird. Yeah. That's kind of where my head's at more than like... It's not actually that they're trees. It's just that's where my head's at for making them sexy. Mr. Sai has been a while. Yeah, been pretty good. Love the goose art kobold. Yeah, he's supposed to be a were jellyfish. This is where we're at. This is where we got to. Because yeah, I like the dryads and the nymphs. I think that's great. I guess nymphs can be like water based too, though. They just have to be like nature of some kind.
Yeah.
Ooh, I have ideas now.
Nymphs really are just nature spirits. They can come in as many different forms as the genasi, really.
I think I'm gonna call this one. I'm gonna call this one Instro because like the rest of this is just gonna be fiddling and adding little details here and there. That's funny as hell, I'm not gonna lie. But where would you find such a were creature? Yeah, exactly. That's what we were talking about. Like, what happens to a kobold when they transform into their were jellyfish form? Do they just become like gelatinous? They just kind of shimmy around. So our thought process was, it's a kobold who got a jellyfish thrown on his head, and he just assumed that he'd become a were creature. Yeah. So, which feels very kobold. Like, if you accidentally drop a helmet on a kobold, they automatically become paladins. Just because.
I have been blessed by God.
I have been chosen to work in the way of. Hold on a second. He looks at the helmet. Sears and Roebuck. I don't know why that's what it is, but that's the only branding I could think of. Who makes Craftsman? I should have said Craftsman. That would have been a funnier joke. Craftsman Paladin. It's just a bucket. They follow the Koatoa and Warhammer Orc mentality of mind. Exactly, yeah. Block Prime, welcome in. The interesting thing is nymphs are normally proximity bound to their ponds or trees in Greek mythology. Yeah, which I kind of dig. Yeah. I really like that. I was talking to somebody about them, probably with the Garan video. It was about like somebody making a weapon out of a tree that was a dryad's tree. And so like them carrying it around with you, with the party. Or even being a warlock with a dryad patron that uses the nature-bound thing. Mm-hmm. Like their forest gets cut down, and then they just live in this item based off that. I really dig that, and that would be a really fun like retribution paladin or something to go with for someone trying to enact vengeance for cutting down a forest, a tree glade. But I dig it. There's a subclass in game that I kickstarted where the barbarian light class gets to do the burying thing. Oh, Bjorn thing. Okay, yeah, raging into animal form. Yeah, I always like the 5e like beast totem barbarians. I really wish they had a shape change. Like, I feel like that would be the much more interesting thing to do. Because you still have, like, you could be the druids that shift into bears, but I'd feel like there's a difference between that and having a rage form. I feel like there's enough difference there that you could find fun things to do with it. Because then, like, you could rage into a fire bear or, you know, something like a manticore or something that just, it's not going to be the same as the shape change. Because I would still use your barbarian stats, except that the rage shifts it, right? You'd only get the bonus from your rage. But you would look different. So it's mostly cosmetic, but with maybe like you get the claw attacks, you get the bite attacks, which is what the beast totem does. You just don't get the physical change. The difference between taking the aspect of a character and becoming another creature. Exactly, yeah. Because like it would not make sense for you to rage into like a cat form and then like I can nimbly bimbly walk across this tree. It's like no. If you're raging into a cat, you're raging into like a very large cat and only to destroy things, right? So
a very large pissed off cat.
Yeah, exactly. Like you wouldn't get all the abilities of a cat, you would just get the aspect of it. So but I would definitely let my players do that if they wanted to be a beast totem barbarian and just like when they rage they appear to be these creatures. And that would work for being like becoming larger or getting like damage reduction as well. And some of that's built into the rage, so it works out. But not exactly the same. I'm going to roll this, and then I'm going to go get a glass of water. So I will be right back. A natural 20. An insectoid druid slowly falling victim to a body-stealing fungus. That sounds really cool. Okay, hang tight. I'm going to put up a poll here. Tell you what, better idea. I'm going to put up a Q&A. And I'm just going to have people suggest bug types for this one. And I'll give you guys a little bit of time. So if you're on YouTube, go tell me what kind of bug we should make this. And I will be right back.
I'll still be here plugging away. unendorsed. It's the cordyceps mushroom that eats ant brains, I think. Nope, that's cordyceps is one that infects caterpillars. No, it is a type of cordyceps. Okay, cool. Copy paste lycanthrope blood hunter subclass into barbarian. Yeah. I mean, you gotta take something out of the barbarian before you substitute something in my opinion, but yeah. Okay, I gotta figure out these hands. Maybe I don't want the ball of energy in the face. Yeah, I'm gonna redo that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. He ate and fell back asleep. Next time he wakes up, I'm gonna try and do the bottle.
Okay. Copy and paste lycanthrope blood hunter class into barbarian. That would work. Yep. You could do it that way. The bear variants get bonuses to negotiate with bears. Did nobody suggest any bugs? Fine then. Mr. Say, I would like to know what you're drawing, Druid.
Oh, it's a Conrosu, although I erased the last head because I couldn't figure out. I did not like the placement of the primordial orb of consciousness, so I'm going to find a different place for that. But yeah, Conrosu is a 2nd edition Pathfinder Heritage. It is a extraplanar wad of primordial cosmic energy piloting a plant mech. And they are very cool.
guess moths don't really have, what are they called? Ants have this,
Brains?
like this thing, whatever this is. They got the weird hips between their segments. Moths just kind of have.
Yeah, they're just chubby little floofs.
Mm-hmm. The Q&A was bugged. Oh, okay. I was wondering why no one clicked on it. Excuse me. As a joke, my friend said, "This shrimp." Oh, said it'd be a shrimp.
I mean, shrimp are basically just water bugs.
Maybe I'll pay Corvus to write me a why you should play Mothman video.
Not a bad idea.
Just start hiring people. You posted Rhino Beetle in the Q&A. Thank you, IG. Yeah, I didn't see it. That's a bummer. Now, note to self, don't use the Q&A anymore. Okay, how do I fungicide this moth? That's the question.
I mean, cordyceps mushrooms literally just grow out of their brains.
That's true. Missed opportunity to make a sexy moth. I'll do that enough in my spare time, so it's probably fine. The oyster type lichen. Is that the ones that do this?
Yeah, or they grow like this, literally out of the side of a tree.
Okay. Yeah, those are pretty cool. Maybe this floof is just mushroom now. Okay. said that? Bonk them with the no horny stick? Who said what? I missed something. The sexy moth thing? I know moths don't have pupils, but I think it looks cooler. They have a weird
Some do have like big old dark patches.
eye. Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's I do think it is more of a coloration thing than a pupil thing. But it does make them look like they have pupils. I wonder if it's a result of the caterpillar mimicry.
Mimicry, yeah, that
Make
makes
it
sense.
look like a scarier creature.
Yeah, because the caterpillars definitely have pupils, and some of them have them on their the wings.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be interesting if the eyes also adapted to that. Dang it, my nose is wrong. 1 second. Oh god, that kind of looks like From Hazbin Hotel. It's the broken antenna. I still have yet to watch that. I'm kind of thinking I never will.
I didn't get that drawing finished, but I think I need to be done because I'm not feeling well.
Alright, that's fine. I'm watching all the Hell of a Boss episodes, but I haven't cared much for Hazbin. Are those the same characters or just the same writers? Like, is it a spin-off? Or just kind of in the same universe-ish thing? Yeah, I probably just won't watch it. Douglas.
Same universe, different story.
Same writer, yeah. I knew it was the same writers, but it is the same universe. Okay. Kind of digging this little guy.
Yeah.
I might show this
Got
off
a
to
lot of character.
the bug people and be like, hey, you guys need moths? You guys need a moth guy? Look how
It's
fluffy he
infected
is.
with fungus.
Yeah. Played some Hades 2 over the weekend. It's pretty good.
Nice.
I guess it wasn't a weekend. It was my weekend. Thursday. Thursday was my weekend. That's where we're at right now. That's how screwed up my day schedules are.
Mm.
I think I put out 3 or 4 shorts this week.
Yeah, you did.
And I don't know if I meant to do that. I don't know what happened. Kind of looks like an unhinged mad scientist now that you look at it. I could see that.
Yeah, same. I like him. Got a lot of character.
Yep. All right. I'm going to call that. Let's do another one.
Nice. I'm gonna
6. Oh no. A Kirbornian? Kirbonia. Is that like a Kirby? Is a Kirby race.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So this is Kirby. They want Kirby. If Kirby was a
So,
race. Kirby is a
ball
race,
of death
though.
and destruction.
Yeah, like Kirby's a Star Warrior. Or what the hell is he called? Is that right? I might be right.
I don't know.
Because Meta Knight is also the same thing Kirby is, but Kirby's just like an eldritch god. Characters from an Epic Level 5e game. Epic Level 5e game. Okay. So it's Meta Knight, but with butterfly wings. Alright. Popstarian? Yeah, it could be Popstarian. Was Kirby actually from the planet Popstar? Or did he land on the planet Popstar? I can't remember. He might be from Popstar.
I don't know.
This will be a weird one, but we can do it. It technically fulfills all of the criteria and is not fan art, but fan art adjacent. So, if you ask Matt Patton, he's an amoeba. Essentially, yeah, he's a galactic amoeba. I think that's fair.
The only thing I know about Kirby is I learned from Brian David Gilbert.
Oh, what kind of mask would he have if he's a friendship monster? A skull? Be my friend! Work for Skull Kid. I don't know what I'm doing.
Neither do I, but I think I'll leave you to it. I'm gonna go lay down.
Alright, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you later.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Okay, we got our Kirby base. Butterfly wings, right? Now we need a mask. Kirby's a friendship. He wears the faces of his friends. All about friendship. He's killed a lot of Waddle Dees for the Waddle Dees to be, like, very chill with him, you know? There's also a weird disconnect. Like, Kirby eats and destroys and explodes and punches and turns people into general stars all the time. But then when you get to the cutscene, they're all fine. So I think it might just be like... I think Kirby's maybe not as violent as it appears in-game. I've seen a lot of hate towards the Wish movie since its release. And I'm like, yeah, some of the hate is warranted, but it's also an okay movie. Still wouldn't recommend it, though. Interesting. I hear it's just... I hear it's very lazily written. That's the complaint I've heard from it. Which, when you have things like the Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean, which are just like based off of their rides, you don't need to make a movie about one of your famous songs, right? Like, that's a little weird. But apparently they did it. I don't know if it's good or not. He forward them, he can reverse for them? Yeah. Okay, I've just realized if you give Kirby a chin, it's super creepy. So we're going to not do that. Kirby's got to be a ball. What should we put on this mask? Just an arrow. It says don't look. Get in. Somebody put a realistic mouth on Kirby, and it's one of the funniest things I think I've seen in a while. I have no idea if this will paste, but I'm going to try it. That's great. That's great, and I hate it. What if it's a mask of Kirby's face? That would be really funny. It's a Kirby wearing a Kirby mask. Boy, oh boy. Oh. Quick, what do friendship clerics have? Corvus, welcome in. It looks like a fairy being face pinned in its sleep. That doesn't sound appropriate.
Hello?
Yo, how's it going?
Pretty good.
It's Kirbyception, yeah. Maybe it's like a Mimikyu from Pokemon where you want to think it's Kirby. Yeah, it's the Kirby. I'm definitely... Isn't that what the, There's a thing like that in the Kirby universe, I think. Things that look like Kirby but then explode or are monsters.
I wouldn't know. I've never played a Kirby game.
Kirby games are really fun.
I have watched a Kirby show like 20 years ago.
Sure.
But
Kirby games are like mindless platformers that get surprisingly difficult. It's really strange. Yeah, they're weird. I like them. They're fun. Like Kirby's Epic Yarn, it was actually like really challenging to kill yourself. Like it was just it was almost impossible to lose a life. Even on the hardest setting. And then the newest one, where he can turn into cars.
God.
Yeah, it's really weird and kind of fucked up if you think about it too hard. There's some weird stuff you can do in that game. Like every move has an up move, a charge move, and like a dash move with it, as well as there is dodge rolling and blocking. So like it has everything built out to be like a Dark Souls game with a Kirby skin. And if all you're trying to do is beat the game, it's stupid easy. Like it's hard to die. But then they're like, oh hey, we saw that you beat that boss. What if you try to beat the boss while taking 0 damage and you're not allowed to push any of these specific things? It's like, that's impossible. Like that is, how the hell are you supposed to do that? So they definitely have it set up to where little kids can just pick it up and play the game. But then if you want to try to get any of the achievements, that's really difficult. And I think that was a really smart move. So it's kind of got a hidden 2-tiered system of difficulty. What if we just give it like an all-seeing eye? That doesn't feel very butterfly-esque, but well, maybe I should give it a butterfly mask. That would make sense. Why didn't I think of that before? Because my brain is lumped. How are you doing today, Corvus?
I am alright. Just got back from town. I assume where you're from, Aurora, I assume you get that.
Yeah.
Going to town.
Yep. I lived real close to town when all my cousins would come visit. I'm like, oh, what are you guys doing today? It's like, oh, we had to come buy pants. So
Yep.
So we had to drive 45 minutes to where you live to buy pants. And
yeah,
we'll probably get 12 gallons of milk and some other stuff and put it in the cooler and drive home. It's like,
oh god,
right.
We did that, like, not the milk thing.
Yeah.
But very similar. We bought 60 eggs, like a big box of eggs from the local Walmart super center.
What is happening here? Hold on a second. I just now realized that my the bird hasn't been talking this whole time. That's frustrating. Oh well. Test. Okay, that'll work. Yeah. Is that might be too jarring. That's better. I like that one. I buy that all the time. I love the giant, like 5 dozen eggs or whatever it is that you buy.
Yeah.
I'll buy those and like pickle half of them. It's so good.
Like, do you want to pay like almost just barely $10 for 60 eggs? You do? Yes.
Yeah, man. Freaking eggs got expensive here. They were like $8 a carton for a little while.
Yeah, they got a little bit expensive here too.
Yep. Thanks, Obama. God damn it. Not only the wrong president.
Yep.
Oh, the memes.
I also, since yesterday, I've been digging into the weird I have very mixed feelings about the Warhammer universe. Let me just preface this. Just
I
a
will.
lot of conflicted feelings.
I'm gonna pause you right there, and I'm gonna say I agree.
Yep.
So yeah.
And all I'm saying, mixed feelings all around. But I just became aware of another game setting they have. So you have Warhammer 40k, which is the sci-fi setting.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Warhammer Fantasy,
Yep.
which recently just got a new edition after like a decade of being gone. And then there's one that kind of fits in the middle, and it's called Age of Sigmar. And a lot of people don't like it because of bad writing on the fantasy team's part. But I really like it.
Interesting.
It's like, it's a lot of cool, interesting stuff that like goes on. And you have soulless sea elves.
What makes them soulless?
So the lore behind them, so Age of Sigmar kind of fits in with the fantasy universe, as in that it's basically the post-apocalyptic worlds of Warhammer Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
All the elves got wiped out, and all their souls got eaten by Slaanesh, which will not explain who Slaanesh is, because it's crazy.
Too many names, yeah.
Yep. An old mortal elf wizard, now ascended to godhood, teamed up with two other elf gods who were recently ascended, goes fight Slaanesh, drags the souls out of their belly, and proceeds to remake the elves. The first batch, which was like the most recent souls of elves that Slaanesh ate, were very damaged. Like they still have like the spiritual post-traumatic stress of being killed and eaten, like weighing on their soul, so they are kind of just messed up.
Gotcha.
But because of that, their children are sometimes born with withering souls, and so they have to
Okay, the United Kingdom
go out and like raid people for their souls.
That's stupid. Like, so okay, let me put this in a preface that's not pedantic and just me saying it's stupid. What is the value of a soul if you can be born with one and they are transferable? Like, do you die when your soul withers? What happens when it withers?
Yes,
You become a zombie?
You just die.
You just die? Like, that's just life, then. The soul is just your ability to
when
live?
I mean, like, they're withering, like, like a child is born, 6 months later, dies.
Okay.
So, I should have
But it's because of their soul death. Like, are they supposed to be immortal because they're elves, normally?
Yes. Or incredibly long-lived, at least.
Okay.
So, like, they even gave a bit of math. So, like, it takes roughly about 6 to 7 human souls to, like, give one of these soulless elves their full lifespan.
Interesting. All right. I was going to say, like, it sounds like life, but with more math. And that is exactly what it is. So, that's totally fine. That makes sense, then. So, I'm fine with that.
And it's like...
what did Jack Sparrow say? Like... we have shoot. He was talking to Davy Jones. He's like, so one man's soul is not worth another. Now we're just haggling over price. It's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a good game system, and they tried to optimize for using whatever you want and not even Warhammer models.
Yeah.
Oh, AOS. I don't know what AOS is. Is that what you're talking about now?
Age of Sigmar.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I found out how spaced out American civilization can be, and I have like 7 supermarkets within 10 minutes of me. Same here. Like, I live in a pretty populated area now, and it's like I can I can walk any direction, and there's like convenience stores and grocery stores within a mile of me in any direction. When I was younger, living in Idaho, my cousins lived out in the boonies in kind of a touristy place. It was McCall, Idaho, which is just like a lake. It's a lake, and there are houses around it and cabins and stuff. And so like there were no big supermarkets there. I think there was one supermarket at the time, and because it was a tourist town, everything was super expensive. So it was cheaper for them to drive the 90 minutes to Boise, which is the capital, to go to the mall and go to like a Target and go to like things like that, or Fred Meyer's or whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah. And so they would do that every month or two, and while they were there, they would buy cheap groceries. But yeah, I was looking this up, like how big is the United Kingdom's versus the U.S., and I'm finding lots of conflicted versions. I found the actual area, which is 94,000 miles squared. The United States is 3.8 million miles squared. So yes, quite a bit difference in size.
Yeah.
Magnitudes difference in size. I think I'm done with this Kirby cleric. I don't know what else to do with it.
Yeah, some U.S. states are bigger than some European countries.
Yeah. Sorry, I got kind of interrupted when I said your elf thing was stupid. Where were you going with that?
I was just saying that I think kind of the lore is kind of cool, and it got me wondering if there was like an RPG version of the setting instead of just the war game aspect of it.
Yeah, there's like, what was the last game I played? The Warhammer Vermintide? Vermintide 2, I think, was the last one I played. And I played it in early access, and it wasn't that fun. But people say it's way better now, so I might have to give it another try, because I technically still own it. But my issue with the Warhammer universe is that it's so bleak and destructive and dark.
Yeah.
But everything is in excess. Like, you can still have all the super marines and the weird psychic people and the bugs owning planets and infinite people as resources. And like the whole push of that is just like, it creates this, I don't know, malaise around it for me. Of just like, everyone doesn't have enough resources, except there's always enough to make the war machine go. And it's just like, man, this is dark and kind of depressing, and I don't like it.
Hence why I don't really care for, that's very much the 40K aspect of it. Because like fantasy is a lot more grounded in like weirdly reality, despite it being magic and everything. It's like,
because I guess like they don't have multiple systems and like planets to do that, right? Like that's all.
Yeah, it's all just on one world.
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar kind of expands that to like different worlds, but not like on scale that 40K does.
Okay. It's comedic to me because it's so over the top. Yeah, and I think that's why people like it. Like a lot of my friends that play it were in the military. I don't know why. That's just like, those are the two things that they all have in common, is they love 40K and they were all in the military. And I've noticed that a lot of my friends that like got out of the military kind of have a little bit of like the dark humor, and maybe that's just like, you have to have that, and they're okay with being cynical and funny about things. And it's like, all right. So I've noticed that. I rolled a 9, which is a bone magic druid, covered in bone, playing, and it says playing in paper. Oh, covered in bone. This is written weird. Hold on a second. Bone magic druid, covered in paper sealing talismans, fighting against the technology of Erebor.
Okay.
The word playing in there is very confusing. Bone magic druid covered in bone playing and paper sealing talismans. Bone playing talismans? What are bone playing talismans? We're just gonna make a bone druid. We're just gonna go with
A
it.
bunch of paper seals.
Yeah.
Bone.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not sure what that's supposed to be.
yeah, bone playing and paper sealing talisman. Unless like they're using the paper to like animate bones,
Maybe
like as a
like a bone
A battery?
animating.
maybe.
Bone playing talismans. That could be interesting. I quite like the team is basically mini 40k mixed with Rainbow Six Siege and specialist operatives. That sounds fun. If I didn't take it as sci-fi parody, it would probably be in the Despondent camp. Yeah. Despondent camp. I'm very much in the Despondent camp. I definitely like little pieces of Warhammer. Like, there are some pretty cool stories, but the overarching theming, or like, it's the same thing with Dune. I like the aesthetics and the concepts in Dune, but the universe is just, it's kind of too big.
Yeah.
It's kind of too big for me to like really, I don't want to say give a shit about, but like the stories stop getting, like, geopolitics bother me enough, but like once you start getting to like system-wide politics, it really just like my brain shuts off. I quite like the team. Oh wait, I like the kill team. It's basically like we need 40Ks. So what is that a video game? Is that a 40K video game?
Maybe just another type of game like that. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, Atomic, I wasn't confused about the paper seals. I was confused about the bone play. Which sounds really weird. That sounds really, really weird. All right.
Oh yeah, it is another game of Warhammer, just a different style of play.
Oh, cool. Okay. Kill Team is a skirmish game. Oh, that's why you're saying it has like Rainbow Six Siege. So it's like a squad based instead of like platoon based.
Yeah, because like
That'd be fun. I'd play one of those.
when I was watching stuff about it, like they were talking about like how like why you should pick up like Warhammer Fantasy over 40K, just as a not so much as like Fantasy is better or anything, but just why pros and cons of both.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how the minis in 40K kind of represent like each one represents like, oh, I don't know, 100 soldiers.
Right.
But like in Fantasy, each mini represents a single soldier.
Yeah, and at the grand scheme of things, like that's effectively the same, right? Like, but I think it is trying to push a scale, right? And yeah, the 40K scale is bonkers. It's bonkers. Tabletop DM with 16 to 14 models instead of 20 plus. Okay. The thing I like about the 40K concept is it's actually pretty well balanced, because it's, at least the tournament play is, because like you build your whole team through a point system, and that's something that like doesn't really exist in D&D, like, because everybody just builds their character separately and there's no like point system. It's really, really simplistic, because you get a feat at that, like, let's say at level 3, right? Like, everybody gets a feat and 500 gold, let's say, and that's how you're supposed to balance it out. But like, it's just not fine and tuned enough, I think. But it's also not a PvP based game, so like there's no real reason to do that. So I do like that aspect of Warhammer, like having that PvP aspect can lead to some really interesting build choices. And I wouldn't advocate that for D&D, but I just like that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Less models is a selling point for me. Yeah, absolutely. Points are great, but the meta change too often, in my opinion. No, that could be. Shadowrun is a point system for a character building. Okay. Not much. I haven't looked at Shadowrun too much. A lot of people like it. I know that. They didn't give me a race, unless bone is the race. Did you burn through your Final Fantasy time yet?
Oh, probably. I haven't checked today.
If in doubt, go human. Oh, always. Always go human. Eichmann, hello, hello. The Fantasy Flight Star RPG also uses point-buy systems for the characters, which I like. Nice. How are you doing today, Eichmann? I don't know if I can shout you out from here. I might have to go to Twitch. I'm on Restream right now, so I'm going to have to look at that.
Cheating.
What's that?
Said such cheating.
Yeah. I thought I had all of these open, but I guess I don't. How are you doing, Eichmann? It's been a while. There we go. Oh, now I have an echo. Twitch? Twitch, why you make me so mad? There we go. I really need to just play more tabletops. Just play more of them. But Pathfinder's so good. Is that a knight riding a kelpie?
Yeah, it's kind of like the cover art for the elves I was talking about.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Is that a kelpie or a hierophant? That's not the right word. What's the thing that Poseidon
A
rides?
hippocampus?
Hippocampus, yeah. Hierophant? That's
I don't know. I don't think I ever heard the name of them.
I think hippocampus is the right one.
Yeah, the seahorse.
Mm-hmm.
The literal seahorse.
The real one.
Yep. It looks like my 4 days are up.
Bummer. We'll have to get some more. Bum, 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 bum. Point systems get really complex because they often encourage people to try and find what is undercosted. Yeah, I mean that's how meta systems work. Do you think there are any obvious ways to update or improve the DMG spell casting system? You mean like? Yes, I mean there's a lot of ways to improve. It's very simplified. Like it's very, very rudimentary on purpose. So I guess it depends on what you're trying to improve from it. Like what's the thing that you think is an issue? Because I think it works fine. I think it works just fine. Pathfinder has added the complexity of like additional casting times, which I think is really smart. What's some of the other things people have done? I've had a few people try to describe why mana is much better than spell points. And in some situations that can be the case, but in a lot of situations it works exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because the real question is, what are you limiting? What's your limiting factor? And this is something that goes back to video games. So if you have a level 1 spell, and you're saying level 1 spells are X powerful, and you have a level 2 spell, and they're X powerful, the simplest way to do this is to say, this costs 1 mana, this costs 2 mana to cast, right? And so now, the way D&D works, you can cast one of these each, right? But if you say, oh, well, I have mana, I have 1 mana, I have 2 mana, now what you've done is you've limited that if you cast this spell, you cannot cast the first one, or you can cast the first one twice. So is this spell now has to be balanced so that it is equal to the damage of 2 spells? Because if not, it's never going to be a good idea to cast a level 2 spell. So these have to be balanced this way now. Now the problem is if you give somebody 3 mana, you now have a cost that 1 mana point is equal to X amount of damage, and everything has to be balanced that way. And it's almost always more efficient to cast level 1s because then you have more chances to crit. So, like, it's very complex. It gets very, very complex. And so I think the point system works really well in a game where you're not trying to keep track of math. Because if people don't like to track their ammo, why would they want to keep track of their mana? And spell points work just fine.
That reminds me of the little meme I see you the other day.
Which one?
I'm almost out of bullets. You keep track of bullets?
Yeah. I've only got, what did he say? Like, I've only got 7 arrows left. So you're keeping track of arrows? That is the fun thing about Gunslinger. Like, in first edition, they basically built into the Gunslinger, just like, you know how to craft bullets. It's like, perfect. I'm not going to keep track of it then. I'm just going to do it every time I have downtime. I'm going to make 100 bullets. And it's like, great. But yeah, so this
I weirdly keep track of it because it's kind of built into Foundry.
Mm-hmm. I like keeping track of it, yeah. I'll have sheets and sheets of just scratch notes where I keep track of how many times I've shot. But I'm also a fan of, like, lots of different types of ammunition. So I keep track of, like, okay, my gun has 3 fire bullets in it. And it's like, I'm shooting. Oh, it's a good one. It's going to be fun. I think obvious ways, though. I think any obvious ways that you could update it. Let me think about that. I think playing Fallout will drill using ammo into my head. Most noticeably because 308 ammo is rare. Yeah. I like playing games that have limited ammo. I think it's really smart to do that kind of stuff. Scarcity makes things a little more fun to me. I think the biggest thing that bothers me about the spell point system is when and how you get them back. More than anything else. So I do like the focus point system in Pathfinder, where some of your spells are basically just, you can use every fight. Like, that's basically how it's supposed to be worked out. You can get them back after 10 minutes of rest. Doesn't have to be a short rest. It's just like, I just need to refocus and get these back. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just things like the sorcerer points and the wizards being able to like recall one spell, I think, help. But really, all that's doing is just getting you one additional spell slot. Like, so at that point, mana potions. I think mana potions would help if there were more ways to get back spell slots.
Yeah. That's what I like about like the sorcery points in 5e, where like they can. It's like a two-way street. You could either sacrifice a lower spell to get a sorcery point back, or sacrifice sorcery points to get a spell back. And I don't know if the cost really justifies some of it, but like I like the premise of it.
I've talked to a couple people, and when they DM, they just give everybody sorcerer points, like, which is once again my argument that sorcerer should really be like part of a racial feat, not a class. It's just like, yeah, if you have magic and you have magical blood, use all the sorcerer rules, like with whatever other class you're playing, do it. So I think it's great. I think that helps a lot. The Block Prime, what I'm talking about is the Pathfinder 2nd Edition, just focus magic, which is kind of what I just described. It's basically based around either your class or your... It's like innate magic, kind of. So it's not necessarily required that you use a spell slot for it. It just uses a focus point, which is kind of a mana pool. You basically have 3 points of magic, and you can spend them however you want. So you can get those magic points back. But I think that might be an easy fix, is giving a lot of more people access to the sorcerer points. And yeah, I love giving people mana potions. And the way I do mana potions is I'll give them a potion with X amount of dice in it, so like a D6 and a D4. And it's like, if you want to drink some of this, you take those dice out, you roll them, and then whatever you roll, that is spell slots. So if you roll a 4, you can get back a level 4 spell, or a level 3 spell and a level 1 spell, etc., etc. And then you, as the DM, can dictate, how much mana poolage they have in here. If you have a level 10 spell, then the biggest dice you put in is a D10, which doesn't exist anymore. So, but yeah, magic potions, I think, are the things that are missing to me that would fix a lot of it. And sometimes I'll give people like rings of spell storing or pearls of power and stuff. That helps a lot too. We need a few more bones. We need a few more bones on this person, but I like the overall concept of where we're going with this.
I think maybe another way of doing it is maybe doing the, like, at least in 5th edition, like implementing the 2nd edition's rules for like preparing a staff.
Yeah, that's a cool way of...
Because that is I feel like that's a super easy way of like rule that you can implement in 5e easily. Because there's no like super weird mechanics about it.
Yeah, and I can give a quick explanation of what that is. And that is actually... I haven't talked to many people about this, but what they did for 2nd edition wizards is... Or the staffs... And the wizards, I guess is the way to say it, is they've essentially said wizards need to use staffs as their primary weapon. And here's why. It doubles your spell slots. And it's like, oh my god, because so many people I've played have been upset that like, oh, I don't feel like I ever have enough spell slots. And it's like, it's because you're not wielding your primary weapon. It's like if you were a fighter and you're fighting with a stick. It's like, yeah, you're going to do some damage, but what if it was a sword? So, I know D&D has a sorcerer feat that gives sorcery points in metamagics. Yeah, essentially that's what I'm arguing, is that like you might as well just give everybody that, and it kind of fixes a lot of the problems people have with the spell slots. Go down to the Fey market and take part in the spell exchange market where you can change out spell to stone. That could be fun too, yeah. I generally just let people retrain their spells because I don't care. Unless they're a wizard. Wizards specifically, I'll make them track their spell books, but pretty much everybody else is just like, I don't care. Swap out what you want. We'll just make sure it's a times-based thing so you're not doing it like on the fly. Staves in Pathfinder work like this. You have level 3 spells, right? We're going to do this. And you have a staff. Because you have level 3 spells, you get 3 charges on your staff. 3 charges. At the beginning of your day, as you're preparing your spells, you can say, you know what? I'm going to use this spell slot and give myself, because it's a level 3 spell, 3 more charges. So now I have 6 charges altogether for my staff. You can either cast 2 level 3 spells, because that'll take 3 charges, or 3 level 2 spells, or 6 level 1 spells. So you have this reservoir of extra spell slots, which are mana, that you can use to cast those spells. And it just requires that you spend something. So if you have a beginning of the day, you get 3 again, and you're like, I want my level 3 spells. I'm going to just put a 1 level spell on this. And you have 4 points. And you can still cast that level 3 spell and this spell that you've stored in it. So it generally behooves you to put this in the staff anyways, because you can almost always, you get it back, right? Like, you're not losing this spell slot, you're just putting it in here, and then it becomes flexible, which is great, but you can always cast it again. And so not having a staff as a caster in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I think is a bad idea. I think they wanted it to be that way. They really wanted people to benefit if they decided to go full caster instead of taking a sword or something else. So I think that's a fun way of fixing that. Is like, oh, you want to be a caster? Cool. You're going to double your spell points or your spell slots if you decide not to have a 2-handed sword. Whereas in 5e, it's like, oh, you're a wizard? Here's a staff. Here's a crossbow. Take 1 level in fighter so that you have a great sword. Like, it's, yeah. They don't really give wizards benefits for being wizards.
Good. Wizards don't need them.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, because magic is so powerful as it is. But yeah, there's no reason not to multi-class it when you have the wizard stuff in 5e. Because it's strong. It's just limiting. And that's how they counter that. And then there was something else with it, too. I can't remember. Witches and, like, non-prepared spellcasters have to do something different with the staffs.
So, well, witches are prepared casters.
So
like
they do
wizards.
the same thing as the wizards, okay. So it's
Yep.
clerics. Clerics do something different with the staff.
Nope. Clerics are also prepared.
Who's not prepared?
Wizards, witches, clerics, and druids are all prepared casters.
So we're only looking at sorcerers.
Sorcerers and bards.
Okay.
And the psychic class. So if you're a spontaneous caster, when you so you automatically have your free charges that day for whatever you have.
Yep.
You can overcharge it by using one of your own spell slots to cast another spell. Something along those lines. I'm not the best with it because I clearly misunderstood it for the longest time.
Yeah, let's look it up. Spontaneous spellcasters, such as a bard, oracle, or sorcerer, can reduce the number of charges it takes to activate a staff by supplementing it with their own energy. When a spontaneous spellcaster activates the staff, they can expend 1 charge from the staff and 1 of their spell slots to cast a spell from the staff of the same rank or lower as the expended spell slot. It doesn't change the number of actions it takes. For example, if a sorcerer casts a 3rd rank spell, you spend 1 charge of their own 3rd rank spell slots to cast the 3rd rank spell from the staff. Oh, so it's the other way around. Interesting. So the staffs also have spells on them.
Yep.
So the wizards can use the staff's spells to cast their spells, but the spontaneous casters can take their spells to cast the wand's spells. So you spend 1 of these and 1 of these to cast a 3rd level healing spell from the staff. That's interesting.
It's kind of like, so as long as it's on your, like, spell list, or, like, not spell list, like your spell book, but as in, like, you can, as long as it's on your, like, the same type of magic as yours, basically. Because then you would have to, like, take an action to roll trick magic item.
Oh, I totally misunderstood the other. you can't use the staff's spells to cast your spells. That was what the thing my brain was doing wrong. Because you're always using the spells on the staff. So the wizards just put their spell points here first, and a non-prepared spellcaster can basically cast 3 extra spells of whatever spell level they choose to spend. That's what it is. Or they can just spend like all 3 to cast a level 3 version of that spell.
Yeah.
So.
Because like all staves will have charges
And spells,
refreshed
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yep.
Or beginning of the day. It's just depending on how you cast magic is you can do something different with those.
Yep. And wands are good, I think. Like, you basically get one cast of them, and then if you want, you can try to force the item to be used again, but there's a chance it'll break. I think that's pretty cool. Because then it's just a free spell slot, essentially, with potential for more, but at a cost. I like that.
There's also, like, now in where they're doing the remasters, now, like, spell shaping wands.
That's just meta magic rods, right? They've just kind of renamed them.
Which they weren't in the first part of
Yeah.
it. It's now, like, when they were doing all the remastered stuff.
Which I think is good. I like meta magic wands. And rods. Rods of blasting and rods of, like, maximize and stuff. Those are really fun. They let you really customize stuff. And then that kind of, I think, is required to make those items viable versus like swords that you can upgrade. Because you can't have a Vorpal Staff of Healing, you know? Like, you need something that's somewhat comparable.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm about done with this. As much as I was upset about Diablo 4, it had some pretty badass movies and like some really good, like, this is what a demon slaying priest looks like. It's like, hell yeah. So oracles? Oh, you don't know what oracles are? Or are you asking about something else? Because oracles are essentially divine casting sorcerers. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like it's a combination of clerics and sorcerers.
And in 2E, you pick a
Domain.
mystery, which then gives you a supplement curse.
Yep.
In 1E, you can make them separately.
So yeah, and the way I always looked at it is like sorcerers get unfettered magic, right? They have like tons of they just prepare spells. Clerics are much more restrictive, but then they get their domains, so they have like rigid spells, and they have this like cool channel energy boon. And so then oracles get the fluidity of I can cast any spell I want that I know, and this domain, but the domain comes with a cost, so you get like half of it. You get a cool chunk of it, but then you also get something bad, which I think is really smart. And it makes oracles pretty interesting. I really like them. They're in 2E. Are they in 2E right now? I'm not sure they are.
Oracles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are? Okay.
Their remaster is coming out in like the end of July.
Okay.
They're actually getting a pretty big rework, actually.
Good. I honestly thought it was I felt like the oracle was a subclass or something, and it didn't feel right, so I'll have to look at it again.
Well, you did take Oracle as a archetype, so
You're right, yeah. For Finite.
Because there are some class archetypes that are just not great.
Yeah.
Because it just greatly diminishes like anything that the class got.
That being said, like, as much as I'm loving Champion, I'm using a lot of the Oracle stuff, which makes me think like I should have just played a Cleric. I should have 100% just played a Cleric.
Or just play an Oracle.
Yep. I'm not using the spellcasting that much though. So. Someone said Diablo 4 is just a thing Aaron says. Put it straight into your veins. Oh. People seem to be liking the rework they did for it. At least that's what the internet tells me. I don't know whether or not to believe it.
Was there a rework done of it?
The newest season patch.
Oh.
They did a whole bunch of stuff apparently, but they also I've seen like dwindling player numbers, so I have no idea who to believe.
Yeah, that's always kind of the issue. It's like, because there's definitely fans of Diablo 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Lars is playing it right now. Nope. He was playing over there. Oh, Diablo. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior, Bones? The Bone Daddy?
Oh.
That was a Jack Skellington joke.
Ironically, there's an Oracle of Bones.
Mm-hmm.
You get a negative healing.
Yep.
A bunch of other stuff about dying, which it's not come up too much in our games.
All right, I'm done with this one. Let's move on to the next one. Iron Gods was the last Pathfinder AP. Thumbs up.
That was a while ago.
Natural 1. A dogfolk shepherd druid who looks like an old English sheepdog wearing traditional shepherd clothing. What does traditional shepherd clothing mean?
You know, bibs and a flat cap.
A smock or a frock? There are so many. There's so many different... Oh no. We'll make it work. Sheepdog. Old English sheepdog. Yep, okay, it's one of these fluffy boys.
Yeah, it's the dog from the Shaggy Dog movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, your last. Gotcha. Last time you played DM. Got it. Oh, sad boy. Don't change my diaper. I hate it. It's on my head.
There you go.
I'm hearing a TV in the background.
That's me. I apologize.
That's alright. I just want to let you know. Is that what old English shepherds look like? It looks like a fox hunter to me.
No, fox hunters just wear blazers while riding horses.
Okay.
I was trying to find like stereotypical shepherd from the British Isles, and that's what I came up with. Apparently, also swashbucklers are getting a couple number of reworks.
That's cool.
Mainly around how they can get their panache.
It's a little vague right now, which I think is frustrating.
Well,
but it's
hard.
It's still viable. Like, it works.
Yeah.
We haven't had
because there's like the most definite way of doing it is by doing a successful tumble through. And then, like, depending on your subclass, you get other options. So, like, the gymnast, if you trip, grapple, or I guess maybe knock someone prone, or triple knock them prone, you get a panache for that. Different things like that. But it's like, but then they say any other cool RP moment that your GM may decide that is worthy of panache. I'm like, that's a bit.
So that has turned into one of our players, basically like, instead of I move across the room, I'm gonna do a dive roll and then I'm gonna do backflip, and it's just like rolling acrobatics, I guess. Like, it just adds unnecessary complexity, because you've thrown like too much flavor into the mechanics, right? Like, I think it's fine. I think it's fine that the DM should be able to be like, ooh, I'm going to give you a panache for doing that.
Yeah.
But it should be... It's rife with people trying to make cool moments, and that's always a little too much for me.
That's because you don't like fun, Rick.
I don't like fun. Yeah, I don't like fun. If you jump off of a
mechanic for everything.
If you are jumping off of a boat, like onto another boat, and you roll an acrobatics to swing from those two things, and you roll like a 15 or a 20, yeah, I'm gonna give you your panache back. But if you're like standing here, and there's an orc here, and you're like, I'm gonna do a triple somersault over here and stab him, it's like, that's not. I mean.
Okay, that I get.
Yeah, it's just like, but the thing is, like, the game wants you to do something like make an acrobatics check. So it's like, okay, how do you do that, right? Like,
yeah,
using what is it called? Shoot, step through. That's not right. Tumble through. That's mechanically what they want. That's mechanically what they want. They want you to sidestep over. And so I think it is just the players shouldn't have to like describe how crazily and ridiculous it is. It's like, that's the mechanic. Just do that. Roll the die and be done. And so, like, I don't know. I realize I'm in the wrong again. It's the same thing with like the voices thing, right? Like, I don't like really ridiculous character voices, yeah, because it's like, I would rather you not get lost trying to do something extravagant or things when the mechanics exist to just do it, just have fun with it, say what you want to say. I want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to get lost in a silly voice. Silly voices can be great, and if you want to do something weird, like I'm gonna roll off this table and try to hit him with a beer bottle while I do it, that's kind of funny. But like, so I don't know. It might just be I get frustrated when things slow the game down. But it's just like, just do the thing, and let's be done with it. So,
This is 2E we're talking about. The whole game is slow.
The whole
in
game is
mental
too slow.
space.
That's fair. We've established that you have a parkour speed instead of a move speed.
Ironically, when you do get panache, you do get a move speed. So yes, parkour speed. But yeah, I looked up the rules here. It's like, at the GM's discretion, after succeeding a check to perform a particularly daring action, such as swinging onto a chandelier or sliding down a drapery,
Mm-hmm.
you can get panache. I'm just like, okay, that bit is a bit vague, and I just like,
It turns everybody that has that into, I need to walk 5 feet. How ridiculous can I make it? That's my problem with it.
well, it does specify skill check. So,
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone is they're trying to argue the necessity for a skill check.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it turns into Michael Scott parkouring around the office. It's like, it's like, there's no need for this. Please stop.
Though I will say, I feel like that's what 2E wants you to do.
Maybe.
Like, not just with the swashbuckler, but like, they want you to be always making skill checks. There's no longer just, oh, we're on the road, let's just speed along. They want you to be spending like 30 minutes
1 second.
IRL. Sorry. Oh, hold off.
Sorry, I'm back. Okay.
Alright, it's fine.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because there's a lot of stuff that they want you to do that is just like, takes up too much time at the table. No one has time for this.
Yeah, something with the investigator kind of runs into that too. Is you're supposed to do your devise a stratagem, which is 1 action. It's like, cool, I'm gonna do this at the beginning of my turn. Roll a d20 and save it. If you attack later in the turn, you can use that number. So it's like every turn, it's like, I'm just gonna roll a random d20. I rolled a 5. Never mind, forget it.
So, wasted your turn.
That was, well, it just wastes 1 action, right? But like, but that was a roll that like you just have to make, and then with that, you also now have to make a skill check that is the recall knowledge. You have to make a recall knowledge roll. You need to crit on it, so there's like a very small chance that it's going to do anything. So now you've rolled 2 dice, used 1 action, you still have 2 actions left, but if both of these fail, like, what do you do? It's like, I guess I just walk around, because I can't attack. I know I'll miss. I already know I'll miss, so I'm not going to spend an action attacking. If it succeeds, shit happens, and like a whole bunch of stuff goes off. And then if this succeeds, a whole bunch of stuff goes off. But it's like, all of this priming is just extra rolls that I have to make to maybe do these things. And it's like, I'm just going to do those before my turn. How's that sound?
Well,
so
another thing is, though, if you devise stratagem, you have to use that roll, period. You can't, like, not use it. You have to use it that turn. Which is the most ridiculous rule I ever heard.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't, like, it doesn't force you to make an attack. I think
no, but you can't make an attack.
Right. I agree. Yeah. It's very much it's giving you a brief vision of what, like, if you attack, this is what you'll get. And in most situations, it's like, I should have just attacked. But the thing I have noticed is, like, my character started using a pistol, and that was actually pretty good, because then I didn't have to get into combat. Whereas before, when I was using a sword or my fists, depending, it was very much like, if I roll it and it's bad,
you're gonna get hit.
I'm gonna get hit. Yeah, because I was like, well, now I can't attack, so I have to do other things. So I could try to be more defensive, or run away. But the other thing you can do is you can roll it, check it, and then if it's good, like you roll 20, it's like, oh, I'm going to use my action to move in and then attack, right? Like, so that's kind of interesting. I like that concept. But it just adds a lot of front-ended like rolling that a lot of the time feels like, okay, hold on, I'm going to roll something. I'm going to roll something else. I'm not going to do anything. And it's just like,
Yep.
it just feels like it's slowing the game
Yep.
down. Because like it's stuff is happening because it could have just been a missed attack, but it feels like my character's doing nothing.
Yeah, and that's kind of also a bit of the problem with the thaumaturge. The thaumaturge
Same, yeah.
is a bit less like roll heavy. Like you do have to make the initial like recall knowledge thing.
I think I'm not sure which it is, but the thaumaturge and the investigator are like, I think they're the same base. Like they're essentially
they're
the same
very,
kind of
like,
kit.
Yeah. The only difference is the thaumaturge is much more like
Magic based,
martial. No, like investigator is very roguelike.
maybe?
Not
Yeah.
the game style, but like very much it's just a style of a rogue.
Mm-hmm.
While the thaumaturge is very like kind of like champion-ish.
See, yeah, that's
without the focus spells.
that's the weird way to look at it because like they can use scrolls. You can get the scrolls. You can use the wands. So they are more magically oriented, but they're not spell oriented, which is really strange.
Yeah. They're magic item oriented.
Mm-hmm. Which I really dig. I really dig the thaumaturge. I just haven't found a build that I like with it yet. I'm still like trying to look at it because look, the wand build seems really fun, but then I think the game itself kind of fails with wands in general. So you're essentially making a ranged caster that only has cantrips. It's just like, what do I do with this? So,
And even then, if you're doing that, just play the psychic class because they get better scaling cantrips.
yeah, and if anybody, like, if you're using a wand as your base build, like, there's no reason not to be a sorcerer or, hell, be a ranger and just use wands. Like, it seems very strange to make them specialize in wands, and then what they get from that is a free kind of crappy wand. It's like, which
It's not even like so much like they want you to specialize in wands. It's just like your special gimmick item that you can get as you level up is a wand.
And to be fair, like I do think that combos really well with the like the recall knowledge thing where you can make someone weak to your fire spells. And then if you have a fire wand, that's great, right? Like that's really cool. And that's the thing with the investigator is if you do succeed in those recall knowledge checks, all of a sudden you can backstab. Like you get backstab on your attack and you know whether or not that attack's going to land. And so it's like, hell yeah. But it's just there's so much front loaded rolling. It's weird.
Yep. Hence why like between like going back to swashbuckler, like between like an investigator or swashbuckler, I would rather play the swashbuckler.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because swashbucklers basically also get backstab.
And
they get precision damage.
That goes back to the like, I feel like some of the advanced classes are meant for archetypes. And so being a swashbuckler with an investigator background, like getting the archetype that makes way more sense. Same thing with like or a thaumaturge. It's just like, yeah, I'm a swashbuckler and I specialize in magical items. So both of those classes feel like they're
I guess
kind of like
however,
subclasses.
I have issues with the archetype system because so like some of the advanced classes you just barely get any of their main kit.
Right.
So like for instance the magus, if you want to be like say you're a fighter and you've decided to pick up spellcasting and become a magus, you get spell strike once per day. No way of getting it ever back. Only once a day.
Oh, interesting. I would think
and
that would
get,
be on
like
the
3 spells and 2 cantrips.
I would think that would be on the focus spells again.
Nope. It is a special
Jesus
action.
Christ. Sorry, everybody. Hold on a second.
He doesn't want to be lying down. I wanted to take him outside, but I'm leaking every time I open my chest. So I'm trying to pump it.
Okay. Oh, jeez. Grumpy boy. Okay, I got a tiny person with me now. Hold on. See if I can keep drawing. Did chat stall out or did everyone just taking a break? Just want to make sure we're still on the internet.
I think we're still on the internet.
Okay.
But yeah, like I was saying, there's certain like archetypes I just don't think are meant should ever be taken as archetypes. You should like play that class and opt into something else if you want to take an archetype.
Yeah, because the other argument I think that we've talked about is what you're saying. Well, like be an investigator and then archetype into fighter, right? Like so that you have some functional base class,
like combat skills.
Yeah, so the archetype should really be used for base classes instead of starting as a base class and then building something. So maybe that's a better way to look at it. But yeah, I feel like that very much with
I agree with that statement.
I very much with my investigator who just died, so I don't really have to play them anymore. But
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Catturn.
Sagaro de la Sabatender, the cactus Garan, is no more. But I think he would benefit from an archetype because we didn't do that. We just did the straight up stuff, and him being just a investigator, he feels like he just doesn't have a lot of stuff to do. It's like I really wish I was more martial, or I wish I was had some more spells that I could use. But if I built him as an inquisitor. That's not the right term. Interrogator, yeah. So, like, I get to ask all these questions and do all these things outside of combat, and then in combat, I'm basically just, like, rolling dice to try to give other people buffs. And that's been fun. I like that, but it just doesn't work all the time, partially because Kevin likes to throw really, really high-level stuff at us. And so it's like, oh, it's impossible for me to crit this. Okay. But that's just play style and stuff. Not necessarily.
There's really not a more combat-oriented investigator class, like
there's not
with maybe like forensic medicine, because they do get a thing called like Scalpel's Point.
That lets you use your either way. Basically, what it does is it allows you to use your wisdom for one attack around. I think is basically what I think the bonuses do, or to use your medicine check to do with the bleeding effect. I don't remember what that one did.
So Scalpel's Point, basically whenever you land a critical hit with an attack, due to device stratagem, they also receive 1d6 persistent bleeding damage.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the other one gives you you get an additional d6 in your wisdom when you use device stratagem for the investigator, or the whatever the hell it's called. So it's basically a mini support class, which is kind of interesting. It's like a martial support class instead of like casting spells, which can be really interesting. It's just it doesn't have any other shebang to it.
Yeah.
So
it's very much, and also it's definitely a class that's more or less meant for like a intrigue based.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels really good out of combat. You're so tall. Tiny, tall goblin.
I'm not that baby.
How? How old do you have to be before you can stand? That's the real question. I think walking is like a year, right?
It has been like 20-some years since I was part of a growing child's life, so
That's fair. I don't think you can eat my shoulder, kiddo.
You want a pet?
I can't raspberry your tum-tum. Hold on. Okay. Working and lurking. All right, that works. That makes sense. Oh, I have not been looking at Twitch this whole time. I'm so sorry. Did we miss anything from Twitch? Unknown Eldritch. Hello, welcome in. Sorry about that. Eichmann said, thanks for the shout out. As soon as I popped in, I found there was a wasp in my room, so I had to run and get it. That's fair. That is fair.
So I looked up. There's this person on Reddit, Pathfinder Reddit, who does like the write-ups where they do like a Twitch stream.
Okay. Like a
And
write-up of
I was just
the Paizo streams, you mean?
yeah.
Got it.
And so they, I was seeing what if they had anything to say about the Inquisitor, not Inquisitor, but Investigator. And they are giving more clarifying language on recall knowledge and device stratagem,
Cool.
and now giving you a option if you don't want to attack because you would miss, so you could use it for something else.
Thank you. That would be really good. Because, like...
And specifically, I just saw a thing specifically related to the Interrogator version, pointed question,
Yep.
now has combat benefits.
Awesome. Pointing question is really fun because it essentially only really gives you a buff for like deciding if people will lie to you or not. But it's just thematically it's really good because if you're having a conversation with somebody and it's like, I want you to have to answer this. You don't have to tell me the truth. I'm going to force you to answer this question, and that's been really fun. Like I think
Where
that's
are
fun.
they?
Yeah. Where are the drugs going?
Yep. And then there's going to be a level 12 feat for every methodology or subclass.
Nice. That'd be cool.
So, like, they give an example that the forensic one can impose clumsy/stupefy for an instant. That's
Okay.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
And monks are not getting a lot of changes because monks are
kind of broken right
pretty
now,
good.
and I love it. Monks should just always be a little bit broken. Like,
yeah.
Because if your choices are, I want to be an armored knight or a naked guy with a stick, like, you got to make that naked guy really buff. Something's got to be cool about him.
Yep. Because, like, they get a lot of hit points in 2E.
Yeah. They do a lot of damage, too. Like, it's great. Like, they have a lot of flexibility. I think Monk is probably going to be one of the most... what? Yeah, it probably came in at a weird time. I think Monk is going to be one of the ones where you can make a lot of really fun builds. Like they have a lot of flexibility.
You could even be like a weird like pseudo caster with a monk in 2E, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm done with this dog druid. I don't know what else to do with them. Because the traditional garb I found is just a robe and wool, like wool floof. So I think
Yeah, I was gonna say you could probably just use like picture of the Good Shepherd as a reference.
It's dog Jesus, essentially. Let's do it. Come, my followers, let us make a bunch of fish and then roll in them. That was a dog and Jesus joke.
Swashbuckler, you're adding what? They're adding new ways of getting panache. So they're adding this thing called bravado abilities, which give you panache. So that probably would ease up on the whole making rolls every time.
Yeah.
So
if I should say if the player who is listening that is playing that swashbuckler is listening right now, I want you to know your character's awesome, and I want you to keep doing what you're doing, even though I get spicy about all your shenanigan extra rolling, which is totally fine. Keep making those suggestions. I just feel like swashbuckler should have a little bit more. Like with the old gunslinger, right? Getting your
grit.
grit back. Grit was more like a key point, so like it's different than panache because panache you can only have one of ever. So I think
in 2E for sure.
Yeah, in 2E, I think the way you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to start your turn, use an action, get panache, make an attack, do your final blow, right? Like, and use your panache.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's the flow chart. Get panache, and then move or attack. Like, so you have kind of a free action. Do whatever you're going to do, and then use your final blow. And that's the same thing with the investigator. Like, it's pretty much try to get your bonuses, use that bonus point, and then you have a free action at the end of it. And that's why this feels like there's only one thing you can do. So it's like kind of a bummer.
I in fact do not like using my panache like immediately. I like keeping it on because you like even if you don't use it, you're getting like a damage boost from it anyways, as well as a speed boost, and I feel like those are more handy in the combat stuff that we've dealt with, where we like, oh no, I need to get there. I'm gonna need to take 2 actions to get there, and
so that's kind of where I was going with that. I should have said that. The thing with the old grid system. Oh, hold on a second.
So many interruptions.
The thing with the grit system is you had grit points, and so you could get them back by like whenever you criticaled, you got an extra grit point, or you killed a creature, you get an extra grit point. I like that. I don't know if the Swashbuckler has that. I think you do for critting. Do you now get panache for critting?
No.
Okay. So
I honestly don't know. It's been a while since I've played Somar, so
that's the thing. Like, if you have to spend an action to like make the shenaniganry of like I'm gonna do a backflip to get my panache back, right? That's the action you have to use to start the chain of. Then you have your bonuses. You can make a really good movement or a bonus like extra damaged attack, and then you use your panache to do your final blow. If you kill the creature with that, you should get your panache back. Like, that would make sense to me. And if that is the case, awesome. And I think the Swashbuckler's great. But, like, because then that would then give you the bonus of you've done this, and now next turn, you're already primed, and you can do the high movement and the high attack and your finisher, right? And it would just keep cycling. And that's what it feels like with the monk, because the monk is using an action to go into a stance, which buffs something, and then you use your movement, and then you're like your flurry of blows, right? But you're already in the stance. So why does the Swashbuckler have to keep doing this every round, versus just priming it once? That's the weird part about Swashbuckler to me, and that's why I feel like it's strange that you have to, you have to force that every turn. You have to figure out a way to get your panache back. It's like, why isn't that just happening? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's the thing that needs to be expanded on.
Yeah, and that's where like the different like subclasses come in.
Mm-hmm.
So like it expands your options, like without being arbitrary or vague. Like if you're a gymnast, if you grapple someone, you get a panache for that. If you trip someone up, you get a panache for it.
That's cool. I like that idea. I think that would make a lot of sense.
So,
a dwarf bounty hunter covered in tattoos who became a druid to hide among the animals. Dwarven druid bounty hunter. All right, let's do it.
Arguably, the weakest one I think is like the battle dancer one, where you have to like roll performance checks. That is just such a weird thing, and fascinated is not a great.
Yeah, so that's the one they picked, and that's kind of, I think,
debuff.
Maybe that's the problem that we're running into with them. Is like it's not really their problem for having to like try to flavor up all their movement. It's just the problem that they have to, right? Because they have a couple functions where they can fascinate somebody in combat, but they can only do it to one person, and fascinate basically only lasts one round. And it's just like, I think that's the thing that's supposed to prime it too. Is you attempt that using your performance, and then that starts the chain off. But everyone becomes invincible to it, so eventually it like self defeats, and it's very frustrating.
I much prefer something like the Braggart, where you can demoralize and get panache.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
That's the same.
So-
So that's the same. That would be the same pathway, right? You're basically just choosing the thing that starts off your panache.
So, Braggart, you can basically fear someone and get panache to them. So like, you don't even need to be like right next to them to get it. If you're like happen to be like a swashbuckler who's a throwing expert, which is an option.
That's interesting. I might have to talk to them about that. That
And
makes
then
a lot
there's
more
the
sense.
fencer, where you can use either you get trained in deception, and you can if you successfully feint or cause a diversion, you get panache. And feint flat-foots people.
Okay,
or
so
off guards.
that's what I was going to ask about, because in Pathfinder 1, there was a lot of there were feats you could take that feel very swashbuckler to me, but essentially what they were is you could either roll to feint or try to like deceive somebody or sleight of hand them, and if you succeeded, then you got advantage. Like you're basically giving yourself flanking.
Yeah.
And that, like, I'm like, why can't you do that? Why can't you try to do that for the swashbuckler? But like that essentially sounds like what it is, like right there. So that's cool.
So anyone can feint technically. It is a action that anyone can take as long as you're trained in deception.
That's awesome. Okay. There's so many things like hidden in the skill checks that I think I'm gonna have to start looking at.
And then you have wit, which is probably another one I'm not the biggest fan, where you gain the Bon Mot skill feat, and using Bon Mot gives you panache as well.
Okay.
Which is where you like insult someone basically, or give a witty comment, and it gives you panache.
Yeah, I think I really want grit points back. I think that's the problem with panache, is that you have to prime it and then keep it. Whereas with grit, it was very much like you get the movement speed by spending them, the way key points were.
Yep.
There were a few things I think that as long as you had one key point, you got a bunch of stuff. So it might be more similar than I'm giving it credit for. The more I talk about Swashbuckler, like, it seems really fun. I want to try it again, but class resources like that seem to be about making it so your actions saw blades in combat rather than straight downward slope. Saw blades, yes, yeah. So like it has peaks and valleys, right? Like, and the downside I've seen to it, like with the investigator, is if something happens to where you can't get those peaks, you basically do this and then you just wait. Which is, I mean, it's exactly the same outcome as if you just attacked 3 times and missed, right? Like, so it's not any different. It just feels different. It feels different. But there's so much more stuff to do in Pathfinder, and trying to figure out what it is you do with that character is kind of the trick. Wow. It is 1:40. Hello? Yep. Welcome back.
Okay.
Spellcasters are incredibly front-loaded with their cool stuff. It's an interesting change of play. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Warriors are pretty good in 2E. But part of that is, like, because you have shield block. You have so many different weapon enhancements. Jeebus, Jonas made a snake man that does like 90 damage around.
Yeah, the Dragon Instinct Barbarian is like really good.
Yeah. How to make something better? Put the word dragon in it, and then it just like
Yep.
destroys stuff. I'm a dragon monk. It's like, oh shit. Here we go.
Dragon Sorcerer.
Yep.
But yeah, I do enjoy the Swashbuckler. There is a feat I keep forgetting to ever like take that allows you to get panache outside of combat. So you could like do something beforehand and go into combat already loaded.
See, oh man, I didn't know that was a negation thing. Maybe we've been
Because
playing it wrong.
you technically can own at beginning you can only get it in combat, as it is a combat only type of thing. Also, I've never taken any of the other finisher feats because it's like I don't need any of these. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine with the baseline finisher that every swashbuckler gets.
It's just extra damage, isn't it?
Yeah, so you
It's like
it
precision
goes
damage.
up, so it's like sneak attack.
Yeah.
So if you don't use your finisher, you do like the number of dice you have you can roll.
Yeah.
So like Somar like now would have like do a when they have panache, it would be just like the normal dice that they roll for their weapon plus like 3 base precision damage.
Yeah.
And even when you miss, if you do a finisher, you still do damage to them. Like not the full damage, but like you do like half the amount of damage you have as a finisher. So
That's cool. I like that. I think that's like the securing points is kind of the
it's like you're never gonna like not damage a enemy when you
Yeah.
use a finisher.
which is
is
really good because
Nice.
yeah, like that's kind of what the investigator is missing. I feel like because if you make that roll and you're like, oh, it's a really good roll, but you get your crit attack damage, I guess. But if you miss, it's just like nope. It's like oh shit. So having that little extra oomph, you're really just being rewarded for that first action you did, which I think is
Yeah.
So I think more to clarify, I think more constructive ways to get your panache back because it's so important is kind of what's missing in the book.
Or let us like, or go back to like the old style of it where you can have more than one.
Yeah.
Because like, you can't like once you use a finisher, you can't attack. Like you
Yeah.
can't make the attack action.
The limitation is already there for
Yeah.
it being the last attack you do, right? Like that's unless you want to like run or something afterwards.
Yep. I do love a lot of the feats of the swashbuckler because it's just really kind of cool, flavorful things. Like, there's a bunch of different feats that expand upon your tumble through skill.
Oh, really?
Which everyone has, but yeah. So like, they get like some rogue style feats where let's see, what's it called? Tumble behind, where when you do a successful tumble through, they're off guard to you.
Nice. Yeah, I think that might be the other thing is because I'm looking at our players, swashbuckler, and they're really trying to make him a bard, and I think part of that might be the reason I'm getting the kind of the disconnect of like, oh, this doesn't work, this is missing. It's like it's really you should be playing a bard with a swashbuckler subtext. Like I think.
I feel like that would be better, or just like be a swashbuckler and multi-class into bard.
Yeah.
Because swashbucklers do, even though they're dex-based and still need strength, many of their skills do benefit from charisma.
Yeah. The ponytail's where he hides his secrets. We can put some sticks in there if you want. Maybe like a little berry bush.
Because one of the things I took later on was Vivacious Bravado,
Yeah.
where you get like temporary hit points equal to your charisma mod
That's pretty cool.
as an action.
I have that as my champion. Oh, wait. Is it reusable? Because my champion has that, but I can only do it once per, like, short rest.
So,
Or once per day.
Vivacious Bravado, you can only use it when you have gained a panache that turn.
Okay, so it has to be a second action.
Yep. And then you use an action, get hit points, and then final action, stab.
So it's just part of your action. You just keep yourself up.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That's really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, I guess you could almost say like personality feats, where like you doing different things with your charisma, kind of like
You feeding?
if you fail a wisdom save, you can re-roll it or something like that, due to your like force of personality, which is kind of cool. Like you get to have your Inigo Montoya moments.
Sorry, Scoot Kit was harassing me.
Oh,
Bard, Cavalier, and Swashbucklers are all the same. Some kind of peacock vibe to me. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
So. I think it is about time to call it. It's almost 2 o'clock here. I have a grumpy cat, all harassing me. So we're gonna
look at us!
look at me. Pay attention to me. Probably go make lunch and then come back. And I need to finish a dragon today, so we're gonna do that in the Discord if I have time. We'll start with lunch and we'll see where it goes. But I might be hanging out in the Discord a little later. If this guy is a druid bounty hunter, what kind of staff should he have? Drew a lot of druids today. Yeah, I think you should bring back your swashbuckler. Give it a try.
I mean, yeah, I don't hate the characters. Just
I definitely want to get. I think I am going to start trying to DM again. Like I'm going to try to set that up. There's so many things I want to do and keep saying I'm going to try to set up because I want to get more videos out. I want to get a video game started. I want to actually start DMing again. I have many aspirations.
look, those two of those are fairly easily done.
Yeah. Skip Cat, I just gave you treats. Please. Please.
How?
Please, Skip Cat. He's got to have like a belt of just like wanted posters. That's what he needs. Did you ever see the what is it, the Ballad of, I want to say Bubba Scruggs, but that doesn't sound right. It might be. It's a Netflix Western anthology. It was pretty good.
Buster Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs, there we go.
Very close.
I like the character because he feels very much like a white hat, but he's not. And it's I like that concept of like the kind of unscrupulous bounty hunter. It's like, wait, are you a good guy? It's like, I don't know. I ain't no lawman. I think we are going to call it there, though. So, thank you everybody for watching, for hanging out this week, for giving me good suggestions. If your stuff did not get drawn, I will put up another post next Monday. I think we're going to do Wednesday, Friday streams again. I don't believe there's anybody coming into town or anything. The next couple of months are going to be pretty busy, but that just is what it is. I'm talking with OKSDM about what I can share from that project for the Patreons, because we're kind of missing out on the Why You Should Play videos. So I'm going to try to get some new stuff for the Patreon members here coming out soon. That will be in the digital Patreon section of the Discord, as well as just on the Patreon. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. And otherwise, yeah, that's all I got. Thanks again for hanging out today. Go enjoy your weekend. It's apparently going to be really cold here, which is weird, but, you know, stay warm, stay cold, depending on where you're at. Keep your dice on the table, and we'll catch everybody later. Let me see if there's anyone we can raid real quick, and then we'll go from there. Dun, 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 dun.
Bum, 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 bum,
bum. It does not look like anybody's online. Weird. Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody. Stay happy, stay healthy. Keep your dice on the table. We'll get you later. Bye, everyone.